It's blow after blow for President Joe Biden, who has been battling negative press and public scrutiny ever since his tragic presidential debate against Donald Trump last month. But now it seems it's not just rivals or worried voters, it's also his own party who could be turning on him. A report from Politico has revealed over the weekend Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries convened a call with 4 other senior Democrats to voice an urgency that their leader, Joe Biden, should step down from his re-election bid. In the call were other members of Congress, Jerry Nadler, Mark Takano, Jim Himes and Joe Morell. Various other Democrats have either expressed concerns privately or publicly. These include Jim Clyburn, Zoe Lofgren and Rick Larson. Despite earlier reports suggesting Virginia Congressman Don Bayer had expressed fears that Biden was very fragile, his team pushed back on reports that he was asking for the president to step aside and let Vice President Kamala Harris run as the incumbent. Congresswoman Angie Craig, however, voiced her concerns on X, making it clear the stakes are too high for President Biden to be the nominated man. She released a statement claiming after watching the debate she does not believe the president can effectively campaign and win against Donald Trump. As an elected leader, I feel a responsibility to be honest about what I believe, even when it's hard to hear. President Biden is a good man, and I appreciate his lifetime of service, but I believe he should step aside for the next generation of leadership. The stakes are too high. Despite the fact that there has been a lot of concern around letting Joe Biden run for a second term, as of right now, he is not officially the nominee. The Democratic National Convention will be held in August, when the party officially nominates who they want to represent them as their presidential candidate in November's election. While Senate Democrats have remained relatively silent, Virginia's Mark Warner has reportedly been attempting to assemble various Senate Democrats to visit the White House and ask Joe Biden to step aside. Now, despite last month's presidential debate completely rocking Biden's re-election campaign, this interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos will not help either. When asked whether he would stand down, here's what the president had to say.
If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
Well, it depends if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that.
But it's not up to the Lord, according to Democratic Vermont Senator Peter Welch.
But bottom line, this is not a decision for Lord Almighty. This is a real-world decision for real-world people in politics and who care about our country to decide what we think is the best path forward. And it has to be the best path to give us the best chance of keeping Donald Trump in Project 2025 out of the White House.
Other moments from Joe Biden's ABC interview had the internet talking.
And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down. No one thought could happen. I'm the guy that put together the South Pacific Initiative with AUKUS. I'm the guy that got 50 nations out, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well, to help Ukraine.
But over the weekend, Joe Biden found himself facing more scrutiny for various blunders he made on the campaign trail. Here he was, falsely claiming Philadelphia voters got him over the line when he was running for Senate, despite the fact that he was representing Delaware.
Look, even when I was running for Senate, and each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular, got me across the line. No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously, organizationally and in terms of fundraising, the whole deal.
While the White House is continually comforting voters that Joe Biden is fit to serve for 4 more years, a clip of a radio host has gone viral this week, which could spark even more doubt in the Commander-in-Chief. Radio host Andrea Lawful Sanders has reportedly been fired from her job at WURD Radio after she admitted in an interview with CNN that the White House provided her with questions she was allowed to ask Joe Biden in her own interview.
You asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by the campaign or the White House. But they were essentially the same questions, both interviews, about accomplishments, progress in your respective state, what's at stake in the election, what he has to say about his debate performance, and what he would say to voters who think their vote doesn't matter or might sit this election out. were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay. And the reason I ask is not a criticism of either of you. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so that the president knows what's coming.
Doubt over Joe Biden's ability to lead for another 4 years has been represented in the way his staff provide him with cue cards. He has on various occasions been caught red-handed with a list of journalists he can call upon in press conferences and cheat sheets. But Axios has now reported and obtained photos prompting the president to walk to the podium. These photos show part of a template guiding the president on where to walk to the podium. According to Axios, other guides showed pictures of view from the podium and view from the audience. The publication spoke to a staff member who worked an event who told them, "It surprised me that a seasoned political pro like the president would need detailed verbal and visual instructions on how to enter and exit a room."